use the term driving while black while talking about possible sources of discrimination and how the police go about their business, and you will probably face opposition from those who can't accept that there is any racial animus or bias that influences how the police go about their day-to-day jobs. But not only is it actually true of the day-to-day realities of many black Americans, but new data shows that it's actually getting worse over time. So this information is generated by the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. They analyzed 1.3 million traffic stops in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. And what you're seeing there is the racial difference between the likelihood that you'll be searched when stopped between whites and blacks. And you see that you're already far more likely back in 2002, 13 years ago. You have something like a 60-70% higher chance of being searched if you're black. And that has steadily gone up over time. Something like 3 times more likely to be searched if you are black in 2013 than if you are white. And so this is something that we still have to defend every time you bring up that term, that you're more likely if you're a minority to be stopped, to be searched, to be charged with a crime, to be convicted of a crime. And it's actually getting worse over time.
But we live in a post-racial society. We don't see color. I mean,
it's technically true. Post-racial in that you can't talk about it. Right. It doesn't matter.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it just shows the gross over-policing. I mean, you cannot tell me that we do not have an institutionalized racist justice system here. And, you know, it's a stop and frisk thing, too. And when people say all lives matter, it's like, yes, they do, but this is a movement about Black Lives Matter for a very good reason, because black people are like 8 times more likely to be gunned down by a police officer than a white person. And this just exemplifies that point. It's so sad. I mean, being pulled over just because you're black.
Yeah. We did elect a black president, though.
Right.
That's true.
So
racism
is this
over.
really a problem?
You win some, you lose some.
I mean, you can go into specific issues like marijuana usage, right? And you can compare blacks and whites and then try to figure out who gets arrested more for the exact same crime. Black individuals, white individuals use marijuana at similar rates, although black people are criminalized or prosecuted at 4 times the rate of white people. Why is that? Okay, so people will make the argument, oh yeah, well, black people get pulled over more often because, you know, they're usually doing things wrong all the time. It's white people that don't do anything wrong. That's not true. You can compare them in specific crimes, if you consider possession of marijuana a crime, and you see a double standard there, the 2-tier justice system. It's a huge issue, and yes, it has a lot to do with your skin color, but it also has a lot to do with your socioeconomic status. If you come from a certain background, regardless of what your skin color is, the law will come down very hard on you. If you're wealthy and you're the child of wealthy parents, well, you can use a defense like affluenza and literally get away with murder. So these are the kinds of things that drive me crazy when you do a story about police brutality and you bring up the issue of race, and then you have people denying that something like white privilege exists. White privilege definitely exists. It's called benefit of the doubt. White people get it, black people don't, and it's unfortunate to say the least.
I just hate that they look at it in a vacuum and they're like, black people just commit more crimes. You're like, I'm sorry, are you living in reality? Like, have you ever been outside of the suburbs? Obviously, police are, you know, like you just said, socioeconomics plays the biggest factor in this. Obviously, cops are going to over-police these areas more. It's just completely absurd.
Now, you brought up sort of the different types of crimes. Let's talk about percent difference likelihood of being searched by type of stop. So the violations that supposedly they're getting pulled over for. You're seeing there, apparently, black Americans slightly less likely to be searched for driving impaired than white. That's interesting. But in all other cases, you see a large percent difference, including that if you get pulled over because you apparently don't have a seatbelt on, properly secured, as they say, you have almost 4 times the chance of being searched as a result of that. And for the crazy person that sees this and thinks, well, you know, they commit more crimes, what about them not wearing a seatbelt is so much more, threatening to the cops? Like, it's not like that's off and they're growling at the time. It's just that they don't have a seatbelt on.
So I love that stat, not because I think it's a good thing, but because I think that it perfectly demonstrates exactly what I'm referring to when it comes to white privilege. So if you're a white person driving around without a seatbelt, cop gives you the benefit of the doubt. You get away with it a lot of times, right? He's not going to pull you over and start asking questions. If you're black, well, you know, you might be a little more suspicious, so they're going to pull you over because they want to ask questions.
Or it's just an excuse.
Or it's just an excuse, exactly. So that's exactly what people refer to as white privilege. It doesn't mean that you as a white person are doing something wrong. It has to do with stereotypes and how much we've internalized them, whether consciously or subconsciously.
Right, and it also bleeds into the workforce as well. Like they've done studies that show if you have a resume and it's the exact same resume, but if you have like a black sounding name, you're way less likely to be hired.
Yeah.
So this is across all aspects of society, but then you have laws that justify these extrajudicial assassinations on the street because they're saying, look, if you feared for your life, you can kill this person.
Right.
And if a cop is racist, even those cops in San Francisco said you could put an animal down, and that's a multicultural city that is full of different ethnicities.
Like that, Fox News likes to talk about it as this bastion of liberalism on the West Coast.
Right.
But apparently, still some incredible racism there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's briefly look at this last chart showing the breakdown by both race and gender here. So you're seeing, we do tend to see both black and white males as more threatening than black and white females, but you see difference there. In many cases, black females more likely to be searched than white females as well. And so the largest effect is based on difference in race for males, but a smaller but still significant difference for females as well.